Hello and welcome to the Beautiful Things podcast, and this is podcast number 23. I find it quite hard to believe actually that I've got to my 23rd podcast already. I know it's not a landmark number, but it does seem really quite high for something that I just tried out a few months ago. But hey, it looks like you're enjoying yourself, so I've come back to give you another programme. So firstly, thank you to those of you who have returned to the podcast. Thank you for watching and thank you for being part of the Beautiful Things Knitty community. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. I hope you enjoy what you see. Now I'm in a slightly different location today. Usually I film in my conservatory, but as lovely as that is and as beautiful as the weather has been recently, the sun coming and going as it does in this country makes a huge challenge when it comes to filming. So the light levels go and kind of completely wash me out, and I'm in a mid conversation and then it goes really dark, and it's not the most ideal place to film. So I've come into my lounge today. It is nowhere near as pretty, it's nowhere near as knitty and crochet-y and stitchy, and in fact all you've got is my lovely little Matryoshki dolls and my wallpaper. So a little bit of a different location, but I'm hoping it should mean that you're not constantly zooming in and out with the light levels. And hopefully once the summer kicks in good and proper and the sun stays out all day long, we should have the ability to be able to move back to the conservatory. So I've got quite a few things to talk to you about today. The first is a little bit of administration, so where you can find me, what we've got going on, etc, etc. So I am most active on Instagram, where you'll find me as Artyfartymack. I'm actually really enjoying the new Instagram stories feature at the moment, so if you haven't yet already discovered that, those little circles that run along the top of your screen, you can tap them and you can see anyone who uses them, what they've been up to, and that's a lot of kind of video and interactive. It's a bit like Snapchat, I suppose. So I'm just doing little bite-sized nuggets of my day so you can see what I get up to. I've also got a Facebook page, which is Beautiful Things Classes, and we've got a Ravelry group, which is the Beautiful Things group. It's quite easy to find. You can find us by searching the group tab for that. So I should tell you a little bit about myself if you're new to the podcast. My name's Claire, I live in Essex in the UK, and I'm a craft and sewing teacher. So I have my own studio and I teach all manner of craft and sewing classes, predominantly sewing and crochet. I do have knitting classes at my studio as well, but I am not a knitting teacher. In fact, I am only really just in the process of learning myself. So I'm about 1.5 years into my knitting journey, but we do have a fantastic knitting teacher called Carol who is teaching me at the moment. So we have 2 knit-alongs, or a craft-along and 1 knit-along taking place at the moment. That is their Giftalong, which is a year-long craft-along. The idea being that you make a little something each month that you can pop into a box, and come December you have a whole heap of lovely Christmas presents ready to give to people. So that's the Giftalong. I'll pop the hashtag along the bottom here. So if you're on social media, please do use the hashtag and remember to upload your makes into the relevant monthly thread in our Ravelry group. So I've just taken my glasses off because it was really bugging me the whole time I was filming. I'm getting a reflection in my glasses and I keep tipping my head so that you don't see it and you can actually see my eyes, and it's actually probably more annoying for you watching me do that than it is for me having to watch myself in the screen with the reflection in my glasses. So this is me sans glasses. No, that's with glasses, isn't it? Without? No, sans is without, avec is with. There you go. My French isn't that bad. So me, sans glasses. I do look a little bit strange, but we'll see how we go. I probably won't be able to see anything. So first things first, I have drawn a winner for the Giftalong for March. So a little bit late in drawing that, but I have left the thread open for a little bit longer because I was a bit late popping it up in the first place. But the winner for that is, drum roll please. It is Kiki Lucy, who is Shelley, and she is from Canada. Now Shelley has made the sweetest little tea bag pouch. I'll pop a picture of it up here now for you. Now it is actually a pattern. I'm going to read this down because I've written it. It is the Teetoter pattern, and it's by Julie Tarsha, and it is available on Ravelry. So it's a really sweet little knitted packet that you can pop your tea bags in and pop them into your bag. So I really, really love that idea. So well done, Shelley, you have won March's prize. So I'll be sending you your little goodie bag in the post. I just need you to get in touch with me so that I can have your address and I can send that on its way to Canada. Now our other knit along that we have running is the Stephen West Exploration Station Cal, where we are going to be taking part and knitting an exploration station over 3 months. So you have until the end of June, I think I made, to finish that. So you're going to have to the end of June to knit yourself an exploration station. You can use any yarns you like, and the idea is that I'm trying to get mine finished so I can wear it when I go to Fibre East, which is at the end of July. So hopefully I will get mine finished. I'll show you where I am with it a little bit later on. But my question is to you guys, who's joining me? There is no one in the Ravelry group that has commented to say that they are taking part. And I know quite a few of you were out there looking for those elusive special yarns. But if you haven't found them yet, then please do hurry up, because I don't want to be the only one in there on my Todd. It would be really lovely if some of you would join in with me and make an exploration station. So do please pop over to the Ravelry group if you haven't already and you have got started, and let us know how you're getting on. So that's the admin over and done with. I'm going to move on to FOs. I have a finished object. Yay! So as you can see, probably I am wearing my road trip shawl that I showed you in the last podcast. It was up to the point where it was ready for its border, and last night we had our second crochet class and we all added our borders onto our shawls. The ladies did beautifully well. We've got 6 absolutely stunning shawls that have been finished, and I'm hopefully going to get some photos of those that I'll be able to pop up on the next podcast, because they've all gone home to darn in their ends, finish off their tassels, and then take a nice photograph for me. So hopefully they'll send those to me soon. But this is my one. So if I move my hair out of the way, I'm going to chop off my head for a bit probably. But mine's really, really big, as you can see. It is a lovely shawl because it has this kind of pointy, scallopy border to it, which you can see here. It will focus in. There we go. Nice scallopy border. And the nice thing with this shawl, I'll take it off to show you, is that the border actually goes around the top edge as well, and that's really quite unusual with a shawl. Normally you just do the points, but I guess if you were to wear it as a shawl it would look much nicer. But it also means as the points drape down, if you wear it like I do, bandana style, that you've got the border hanging nicely along what is the top edge here and here. So it's a really nice effect. I've made this using the Starcraft Cabaret yarn in the kind of blacky grey colourway. I don't know that it has an actual name. If it does, I'll put it in the description below. But it's really lovely. It's really, really soft, and obviously it's got the stellina in it, so it's got a bit of sparkle. And I was going to put this in my gift-along box for Christmas, but I don't actually think I'm going to be able to let it go. I really, really like it. What I love about these shawls is that because they're so loose and open, and because the yarn is quite lightweight, they're actually ideal for sort of spring and autumn when you don't want the warmth of a scarf, you just want the decoration, and you can have something quite big like this, and it feels quite bulky, but it isn't overly warm, so you don't roast inside it. Now I did use a 5.5mm hook for this, and you should only use a 4.5 and a 5, but because I couldn't find my 5 hook, I used my 5.5, and I do have an incredibly loose tension when it comes to crochet, so this is probably much, much bigger than it's meant to be, but you will find with the Zutiao pattern that depending on your tension you may need to increase the amount of rows that you do, but it is a really wingable pattern. It's really, really lovely, and it's free to download from Ravelry, so I'll put the link below. So that's my finished object. I will just show you, it has got 2 lovely tassels on the end, which is nice. It just gives it a little bit of extra length, and it gives it a bit of weight to keep it in place and stop it slipping and sliding about. So my finished objects, it's nice to show you something. I have 3 works in progress to show you. Now in the last, it has been 2 weeks since our last podcast exactly, but I have been on fire. I have got so much knitting done, as well as loads and loads of sewing, and lots of day-to-day general stuff as well. So I don't quite know how I've done it, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to keep it up at this pace, but I have got quite a lot to show you. So I'm going to start with my Enchanted Mesa jumper. Now, this jumper has outgrown its bag. I am in the process of making it a new one. So for now, it's supposed to be living in my Kettle Yarn Company alpaca bag, but as you can see, it has exploded. Now, this jumper is honestly like the 80s have thrown up. I think they're going to phone me and ask for their jumper back really, really soon, but I love it. So when you last saw it, I think I'd just done the cow neck. So since that, I'm going to have to be really careful because it's at that stage where it's literally hanging on its needles on the cable and I really don't want it to fall off. But since that, I have added, or started to add, where's the beginning? Oh, it's really hard to show you. Started to add the short row, so you've got these lovely wedges. So you can see this gorgeous yarn I've used. It's like almost like roving with ribbon wrapped round it. We've got this lovely gold here, which was just from B&M. It was a really cheap and cheerful yarn from B&M, kind of a chunky blue. And then we move on to this rather scary eyelash yarn, which looks a bit like a Muppet. And then we're moving on to a variegated kind of peachy browny cotton. And then some more of the blue. And that's where the short rows end, and we're just going into the body of the jumper. So I'll put this upside down to show you because it's going to be easier to hold it. So this is where we're just starting to knit round and round. This yarn here is a really nice peachy coloured, it's a Kettle Yarn Company sport weight, which is really lovely to knit with. It's ever so soft. And then I knitted into that, I stayed with this yarn, but I then included this orangey eyelash yarn to give me another fuzzy section. Then I knitted with this stuff. Now this was really weird. This is kind of, again, another lumpy bumpy, really weird and wonderful thickness yarn in kind of browns and beiges. I have absolutely no idea what it is. And now I've moved on to a Kettle Yarn fingering weight in blue. So the weights of the yarn massively vary. They go from slightly chunky right down to fingering weight, but because of the nature of the pattern and the way that it's designed, it's a very free jumper. My last one that I made all in fingering weight, and I found it was very, very tight and quite clingy. So I'm not worried if this version is a little bit bigger and a little bit baggier. I really don't mind. And also thank you to everybody who sent me messages about my yarn choices. This is what I'm calling my mix-up jumper. So it is all my weird and wonderful yarns mixed in with some that I've bought to kind of make the project go further. I am aware that I'm mixing silk and cotton and yarn and eyelash yarn and acrylic and all those different blends, and that if I dare to put it anywhere near a washing machine, weird and wonderful things could well happen. I am aware of that. Thank you so much to everybody who sent me messages to say, Claire, please be careful. I really will be. I probably won't wash it, like, ever. And if I do, I'll probably, that sounds ridiculous, but I might send it to the dry cleaners or something. But it really is, I'm doing it for fun and enjoyment. It's one of those things to wear to fibre festivals, just to have something a little bit nutty and really use up the majority of my scraps. Although there are 2 skeins worth of Kettle yarns going into this, although I doubt I'll use all that much of them, and therefore they can then go into a shawl project at a later date. So really hard to actually show you this as it stands, but basically I've made all of the yoke section and I'm now working on the lower body part. And I've split for one of the sleeves here, but it's all asymmetric. It's really weird and wonderful. Go back a couple of podcasts to my Edinburgh podcast and you'll see my first Enchanted Mesa that I finished, and that might give you a little bit of a better idea of how it's going to look when it's finished. Or pop over to my Ravelry. I'm very proud to say that my Ravelry project pages are 100% up to date, so you can have a look at my previous Enchanted Mesa, and you can also see pictures of this one laid out, so you can see a little bit more how it's coming together. So I'm really, really pleased with that. I haven't knit on this at all this week. All of that was done the previous week. So I'm going to enjoy carrying on with that a little bit later. That's my mindless round and round and round knitting project that I can do when I don't need to concentrate. So the next thing that I've worked on is a little bit more on my Stephen West exploration station. Now I haven't got much further than when I last showed this to you, because I wanted to get to the point where I was ready to do the brioche section. Now I've never ever done brioche before. It's completely new to me. I have no idea where to start, but I'm aware that there is loads of video tutorials that come along with this pattern, and so I need a good couple of hours in the house on my own with no distractions to get that done. And for those of you who are in the UK, you'll be well aware that it's been the Easter holidays, and the kids only went back to school yesterday, so they've been home for the last 2 weeks, so that wasn't going to happen. However, this afternoon when I finish filming this podcast, I do have a couple of hours to myself, and I am going to sit down with a cup of tea and Mr. Stephen West on YouTube and see how I get on, so we shall see. But I've got it up to and ready for the brioche section. Again, it's on cables, it's really wide, so you're not going to be able to see it to its full glory. But if I try and pull this section down, here we go. Oh, we've got it upside down. I'm working upside down and back to front. You can see here. There we go. That is my exploration station as it stands. So we've got Rosie's Moments, which is the purple. We've got Octopus Garden, which is Woollen Vine Yarns. We've got Uncle Festa, which is by Undercover Otter. And the green, the name passes me by, bear with me, where's the yarn tag? The green is by Ainsworth and Prynne, and it is the Green Finch colourway. So there we go, so Ainsworth and Prynne. So I really enjoyed that. There was quite a few bits of unpicking and knitting backwards, but once I got into the swing of things, it did make a lot of sense. I have put a lifeline in, so there is a lifeline there ready for me, because doubtless I am going to muck this brioche section up, and I'm going to cry and shout and get frustrated and throw it around a bit and throw my toys out of the pram. But who knows, it might go 100% perfectly well. We shall see. So I'll come back to you with more news on that in the next podcast. Now I've got one more project that I've been working on, which has been a bit of a surprise to me. For some reason, I decided I wanted to pick up and work on an old pair of socks that I'd started fairly recently and then got fed up with and put down. And I seem to have done absolutely loads of them. So these are my, they don't have a name yet, actually. They are an Opal sock yarn, so I showed this to you recently. There we go, it's got a nice little sparkle to it. Just a variegated, oops, come back. Just a variegated Opal sock yarn, and I picked this up from a yarn shop in London. The name surpasses me, probably because I wasn't very impressed with it. Knit in the City? Can't remember. It was in South London. I popped in because I happened to be passing. They didn't really have anything in there other than two very snarly, very yappy little dogs and dog hair everywhere, so I didn't really want to buy very much. But I did need a ball of sock yarn so that I could sit in a cafe and do some knitting, because I had a couple of spare hours before I was due to meet a friend. So I decided to try something a little bit different with these. I didn't have a pattern with me at the time, so I just did a 64 stitch cast on and knit some rib cuffs. And then I decided that I would do a few rows knitting and then a row purl, just to give it a little bit of texture. So you can probably see that here. There we go. So you can see these little ridges here. And it does look quite nice, but you don't get a very good join around the side edges. So it doesn't look amazing, I have to admit. So these, although they're going to be perfectly fine socks, they were going to go into the Giftalong, but they're not now. I'm just going to keep them and finish them off. I've also made a very tiny mistake on them, which annoyed me at first, but then I couldn't be bothered to do anything about it. So I knitted the leg on both of them. I'm knitting them concurrently. I really like doing it that way. You seem to get each section finished, and then you're going to have a pair of socks finished at the same time, which I much prefer. So I'm doing them traditionally with a heel flap and gusset. and I did 5 repeats of my pattern, and then I started to knit my heel flap and gusset. Now I'd knitted both heel flaps, and then I realised that on this one I had knitted my 8 rows and started my heel flap, and on this one I had knitted my 8 rows, purled a row and started my heel flap. So I have a little ridge of purl running along the bottom of my heel flap, which I really like, but I don't have it on this one. So it doesn't really matter, I'm not that bothered. This one I have now started knitting the foot on, and this one is ready to knit the foot on. So I'm sure I'll finish these this week, and there'll probably be an FO on the next podcast. I'm just carrying on with them. It's such a minor little thing that it really doesn't matter. I know they're not a gift for anybody, they're just for me, and I'm just enjoying. They're just a mindless knit. I think I finally cracked my vanilla sock pattern of choice, and I'm just going to enjoy knitting them and wearing them and keeping my feet warm. So they are living in my new project bag, and this is one that I made for myself. It's one of my drawstring quilted project bags with a little wrist strap. The words are coming out. The words aren't even coming out properly today. But it's made from this lovely fabric. It's a tropical bird print, and I bought this from So Scrumptious, and it's a lovely website. She's got loads and loads of beautiful fabrics that you can try and buy from, so I'll put the website along the bottom. And she's given me a code that you can use. So if you use the code Claire when you check out on the So Scrumptious website, you will get 10% off your first order. So if you do want to treat yourself to some nice quilting cottons, it is certainly the place to go, and it will give you a lovely discount. So those of you that watch all of my podcasts and all of my videos, if you subscribe to my channel, will have probably already seen that yesterday I uploaded a project bag video, and I have basically shown off all of the project bags that I'm going to be listing in my next shop update, including one like this. This one I've kept because it has ever such a teeny tiny flaw in it. What a shame. It's tiny, it's in the lining, you'd never know, but I know, and I will not sell something that hasn't got even the teeniest, tiniest flaw in it. So, such a shame, I've had to keep it for myself. But if you'd like to get your hands on some of my project bags, you are in time. So on Friday the 21st of April, so this Friday at 8 PM British Standard Time, you need to be on my website. You need to visit www.clairemackiness.com along the bottom, and at the very top of the page you need to click the link that says shop, and that is where you will find the bags. If you visit there now and you go there now, there are a couple of my old style bags still in the shop and still available, although yesterday I did sell a couple more. So there may be either something or nothing in the shop at the moment. Now the new bags will not go live until 8 PM British summertime on Friday the 21st. So make sure that you have the page loaded on your computer or your iPhone or your iPad, and that you hit refresh at 8 o'clock, and hopefully they will all be there ready for you to buy. Now if you go and watch the video, you can see all of the bags up close and personal, find out all about them. There's lots of different styles, lots of different patterns, and they're all slightly different, so do go and have a little look. But they are pretty much one of a kind, so I don't intend to make that type of bag again anytime soon. I'm going to do lots of project bag updates over the next few months, but each one will be totally different. The reason for that is I sew for pleasure. I don't sew to make money. So although I am selling these project bags, they are recouping my costs and giving me a teeny tiny little bit of pin money. They're certainly not going to make me a fortune, and therefore if I was to just keep making the same style bag over and over again, I would lose the love, lose the enjoyment, and it wouldn't be fun anymore. So I am playing around and experimenting, and over the next few months every batch of bags that I upload will be slightly different, and that will be fun for you as well. If you really want to, if you're a die-hard Beautiful Things fan, you can build yourself a collection of different types of project bag. But I'll stop talking about it on here for now. If you're interested in the project bags, go and check out my project bag video, and make sure that you're in the right place at the right time on Friday, and good luck to all of you. So I've also been busy sewing in the studio, coming up with some new classes for my pupils, and I wanted to come up with something that was nice and simple, a really easy sew that was just fun and enjoyable and something that you could make use of. So I came up with our holiday undie bag. So this is not my own pattern, it is inspired by one I found in a magazine, I will say that now, but it's a little bag, just a little simple drawstring bag, and it's got a little pair of knickers with this lovely frilly lace on. Now I did another pair on the back only because I wanted to take a couple of photographs and make it look like I'd made two, so I've cheated, and I've done a little pair on the back and a little pair on the front. But when we do it as a class, we will just put a little pair on the front. Now what you could do, and what they did in the magazine that I discovered these in initially, was to embroider Wash Me, and then they made another bag and they embroidered Wear Me. So the idea being that you would take these on holiday with you, put all your clean undies in one and take an empty one with you and pop all your dirty undies inside the other one, just in your suitcase. And I thought it was a lovely idea. If you were really adventurous, you could even applique on a pair of flip-flops or some sandals, something like that. My mum always says when she goes on holiday, she really likes to be able to keep her shoes together. So you could do that. And in fact, I bet you when she sees this podcast, she's going to be in touch saying, Claire, please, that's exactly what I wanted, but I want a clear pocket on the outside so I can see what pair of shoes is inside it. And I know I'm going to get that message, and yes, Mum, it's a very, very good idea, and I will do it one day. So a little bit of sewing for you. So if you live in the Essex area, this will be going up on the website as a class shortly. Do watch out on Instagram and the Facebook page and various other places. I will announce when that class is going to be. So that's what I've been sewing. So that's all the crafty stuff. I'm just going to have a little chit chat with you now, let you know what I've been up to over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, it's been the Easter holidays here in the UK, so the children have been off school. It was a bit of a weird one this year because the Easter holidays, normally Easter itself is somewhere either right at the beginning or in the middle of the Easter holidays. And this year it was smack bang at the end, which was a little bit weird. There was kind of a really, really long run up to Easter itself. Easter happened and then bang, we went back to school. So it was a strange one. We didn't really do much in the 2 weeks that the kids were off school. I still continue to work throughout the school holidays and I keep my normal work routine. And the children go to various clubs and groups, activities, spend time with their grandparents, and then at least 2 days a week I'm at home with them. So I lose my day off, which I normally have on a Thursday, because it becomes a day with the kids, but that's nice, don't get me wrong. And I lose my admin day, which is normally a Monday, although I do still do my admin day, but I just do it at home with the children, or the kids come to work with me. Now Izzy, bless her, has got massively into YouTube recently. She watches loads and loads of other people's vlogs and podcasts. They're normally about dolls and toys and children and family life and trips to Disney and various other things, but she's got right into YouTube to the point that she was at work with me the other Monday and I let her sit and decoupage a dinosaur, and the next thing I know, there she was going, hi guys, remember to like and subscribe, I've got a little dinosaur and I'm going to add this glue and put this paper here, and if you do it this way it will look like this. And she was full on craft tutorial, bearing in mind she's 5. It was really, really funny. I left her to her own devices for a little while, and when I checked her iPad later that evening, she'd given a fantastic colouring tutorial. So who knows, it might not be long before you see Izzy on my channel giving you some craft tutorials. I'm not going to pop the video footage in here because actually I'm not sure how to get it off her iPad onto my computer and onto my editing software. I'm really not that clever, but if I can work it out, maybe I'll show you another day, or I'll get her on the podcast with me at some point. So I've been really, really good over Easter. I have managed to avoid hot cross buns. I haven't had one. I've had a teeny tiny bit of chocolate. I haven't had any Easter eggs of my own. My family have been lovely and haven't bought them for me, and as much as I've really missed them, I'm really proud of myself for having done that. If you've been watching the podcast and my videos for some while, you'll know that I recently lost 3.5 stone on Slimming World, and I'm really pleased. But going to the US as I did and eating absolutely all the food ever, I have come back and I am almost a stone heavier than I was when I got to the bottom of my target, and that's okay. I'm all right with that, but it can't carry on, so I have had to rein it in and try and get back on track a little bit. Otherwise, all those lovely summer dresses that I'm planning to make for the summer are going to need to be resized yet again, and I don't intend to do that now that I've finally got myself down to a size 12. So we had a fairly lazy Easter weekend itself. We spent some time with family and friends on the Sunday, and then on Monday we had a super day. And so if you subscribe to my channel, you will have already seen the video Adventures in Moominland Part 2. But myself, my mum, the kids and Elspeth went to Kew Gardens where they were doing an adventure trail with the Moomins, and we had such a lovely day. It was absolutely wonderful. I drove us there because it was much easier than faffing about with the trains on a bank holiday. We got parked really easily, and we spent the day walking all around the park. There's loads more to see there that we didn't even get to see, so we're definitely going to go back again in the summer. But both myself, Elspeth and the kids got to cuddle a real life Moomin, so we were really happy to do that. So if you haven't already checked out the video, do go and have a look. In fact, you'll see Izzy halfway through giving us a little demonstration of the nature activity that we've taken part in, and you'll see her, "Hi guys, so this is what we've got," which seems to be how the children do their YouTube presenting. I'm not sure if that's necessarily going to fit in with the podcast or not, whether I should start with "Hi guys" at the beginning of my podcast. I don't think I'm going to follow that route, but certainly it seems to be the phrase at the moment for all of the youngsters. So the last thing to say is that today I went back to school. I signed up for an overlocker course at my local adult college. Now, it seems ridiculous that I'm a sewing teacher and I need to go on an overlocker course, but I've had my overlocker now for about 4 years, and I use it literally just to go over the edges of things and secure the edges of stuff when I'm making things. It is capable of so much more than that, and honestly, I'm baffled by the amount of things you can do with an overlocker. I'm not very good at turning a corner. I can't go round in a circle properly. Really simple things that you should be able to do, I can't do. So I've signed up for this course so that I can literally get a better understanding of what my overlocker is capable of and what I can do with it. And already today I learned that I was threading it incorrectly, which is why my thread constantly snapped. I constantly got cross with it, and I just pushed it to one side and got grumpy with it. And I've been doing that for 3 years. 20 minutes into my class and I discovered where I'd been going wrong. So even if I learn nothing else, that in itself will be wonderful. So watch this space. We'll see how I get on my overlocker course and see if I have any more wonderful pearls of wisdoms to share with you over the next few weeks. So that's all from me for now. One last thing to say is that please do pop over to the Ravelry group and join if you haven't already. There is an Ask Me Anything thread. I would love to answer some of your questions. It can be about anything you like: knitting, sewing, crochet, family life, me, within reason. I honestly don't mind. So if you're like me and you're particularly nosy and you want to know something, then just ask away. That's what the thread's there for. And when I come back next time, I'll be able to answer your questions on the podcast. So thank you all very much for watching. I'll be with you next time. I've got something to show you. I'll see you later. Bye bye.